On this episode of Mid-Pack Mania, we're going to be bringing an old seized up and rusted go-kart back to life. It's a go-kart that my brother ran across a long time ago, and I picked it up back in April for free and used it as kind of a fun quarantine project while everything was locked down. At the end of the video, I have information on when the summer race season is going to actually start. Make sure you stay tuned for that. But for now, let's throw it back to April when I first picked up the go-kart and go through the process of everything that we did to it to bring it back to life. I don't know if we can even fix this thing. It's gonna take a lot of work though, but it could be fast. All right, so we got the yard cart up on some sawhorses, and the more I look at this thing, it's gonna take a lot of work. But we're gonna focus on stripping everything down, take the seat, everything off, because obviously, like I said before, we can't fit in that seat. My buddy Brandon might have a seat that'll work. If we can get that from him, I'm trying to just spend the least amount of money possible to get this thing going. But even right down to this return spring right here for the throttle, it just sticks in place there. So you're gonna have to see the back axle doesn't even turn. This might be rusted. Oh no. Well, gonna start taking everything off. Maybe sand it down. I bought some paint, spent $6 on paint and sandpaper to get it prepped up, but that's what we're working on today. I'm really hoping that we can get that back axle to turn, so we'll see. Okay, so we got a lot of everything taken off. The bolts for the tires were all almost seized, so I had to break almost all three of those on each one to get it off. And then this one, even once I got the nut off, it was still stuck. I had to use a hammer to get it off, but regardless, it's stripped down pretty close. We're gonna take the flat disc with the angle grinder and hit some of the more rusty spots before I switch over and start hand sanding it, because it's our last sunny day of the week before it rains the rest of the week. So I wanna try to get it painted, that way anything else that I put on here, I don't have to take off later whenever I wanna go and paint it. So we're gonna use this, hit some of these really bad areas, switch over, hand sand, and then hopefully get it painted. All right, so we got a little bit of sun left. We're gonna go ahead and give it a quick flat black primer paint job. Normally I would take off the steering wheel and things like that, but I'm thinking about just painting everything black, same color, give it like a Grim Reaper type feel, all black. Obviously except for the brakes and things like that, but everything else, all up here, the pedals, the bumpers, all that, all gonna be black, the same color, and just kind of have it be complete matte black feel once it's all done. So we're gonna go ahead, spray a coat on there while it's sunny out here, and didn't make these lids impossible to take off. But yeah, we'll see how the first coat turns out. All right, so we got the first coat on there, letting it dry, and then we can see if there's any other spots that we need to hit. Then I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab that set of tires and throw it on and just kind of see how it looks. I also ended up putting on this black steering wheel anyways, just because it looks a little cleaner than spray painting a different steering wheel. So I'm gonna let this finish, give it a look over, and then I'm gonna throw some tires on, and we'll see how it looks on the first day of building it. So we got the tires on there. We couldn't really fully mount them because the hubs are wrong, so you can't really mount the back ones down. They don't fit right. I gotta look through my stuff and see if I have any other hubs, but still, we got an engine set on there and got the seat set back in to just kind of get an idea of how it's gonna look when it's all done. I think it's coming together pretty nice too. So now it's just on to finding hubs that'll fit. I think I have some, but I gotta dig through the shop and see if I have some, because I really don't want to have to buy any if I can find some that I have laying around somewhere. And then aside from that, I don't have any throttle cable, so I can't really set up the throttle to the engine yet, but I also need to have a new return spring on that because that one's shot, and then rehook up the brakes, which the brakes are probably going to be last on the list because we can get it running and everything before we put brakes on, but it's just to complete the build you want to put brakes, obviously. So I thought I had some Nerf bars, but these are the 90-degree ones, so I don't have any that are going to fit that, but it looks cooler without them anyway. So we made good progress for the first day. I'm going to go dig through this shop in a day or so and see if I have any hubs that'll fit this. So we've done a little bit of work since you guys last saw. First I was looking for a gas tank, and then Wesley, my buddy Wesley, brought the idea of using just a stock Predator gas tank, and it worked just fine. ran a fuel line up to a fuel pump and then pulled fuel right away. Just got to make sure you either have that a little bit loose or drill a hole in the top for ventilation. It'll work. I didn't find any more hubs, but had to put these back on, and they hold air just enough to where we can do what we need to do. I don't have an engine yet, so we took the pure stock motor off of the 707 and we robbed the clutch off of the Hemi bike, but the Hemi bike is about to get a torque converter as well, so it's not going to need it anymore. I still got to set up the pedals. Don't have those set up because I don't have enough cable and whatnot to run it, but for now I got a little hand throttle we can use, just no brakes. Shout out to my friend Brandon. Gave me the seat here because the seat that was on it was way too small, so now almost anybody can fit inside of here. And when I grabbed this Kart, it didn't have the little rails to mount up the front of the seat, so a little makeshift thing to save money for now is we just mounted up a 2x4 to the front. It keeps the seat from falling forward, but then the back of it still sits on the crossbar, and it has the mounts here as well, so the seat fits in there just fine. Still trying to figure out the brakes because all of this was bad, and the brakes themselves I don't think are salvageable, but I got those pulled off, and we actually got the axle loosened up. Once I got the brakes off, I was able to kind of work it back and forth, greased up the bearings on both sides here, and then just kept working it until we eventually broke it free. So I still need to get a chain guard because we're going to end up losing that chain if we try to run it, but for now I think it's ready to go out there and hit the grass. So I'm going to have someone help me set this down, and we're going to go out there and see if it'll move under its own power. I still need to go to Harbor Freight and get a new engine for this because this motor cannot stay on here. But for now, like I said, we just wanted to be able to run it, see what it'll do. So we made a successful couple laps. If you guys notice, the tree that was there is no longer there. It rained really hard 4 or 5 days ago, and something happened overnight. We came up the next morning and it was down on top of my truck. So whatever happened, the almond tree is no longer. But still, we were able to make a few little rips around the yard here until the master link came out of the chain and bent. I swear there is always something going on with something I'm building, something freak like that. But the little hand throttle worked out. I just tied an old throttle cable on there. That way I didn't have to reach as far back. Have a little bit more control up on the steering wheel until I can get the pedals hooked back up. I did go and pick up a new engine to put on here, so that's what's next. I'll be taking the 707 motor back off, put the new motor on there, and we can finally start to lock everything down to stay in place. I'm not sure the deal with the brakes yet, but we really just need to make it go with the gas pedal first. We can worry about the brakes later. It's not super important. So for now, it was nice to have some of the work start coming together. Take the Grim Reaper cart out there and rip around, maybe the Grim Ripper out into the grass and rip around a few laps. And it's not, I think I'm going to keep slicks on the back to maybe kind of have it like a drift cart. We already have 2 race carts, so why not make this one a little bit different? So everything's coming together now. I'm gonna get that motor off, put the new motor on, and yeah, we'll go from there, see what we have left to do aside from the brake to make it actually go out and make some bigger laps and run for a bit longer. All right, so we just ran out to, Sammy's here today, he's helping out. We just ran out to Didion's Kart Parts in Kingsburg, California. We got a new chain, got some hubs, got a new air filter, a sprocket guard, there's the other hub, and we got an air filter adapter here somewhere. So the new motor is pretty much ready to mount up. We already got the header on it, got the clutch taken off of the 707 motor and put it on, and with those new hubs we're going to be able to put some actual back tires on there. Look at that size difference. The tires are that smaller than what an actual front tire is. So we're going to get to work, get the new motor mounted up. We haven't taken the governor out yet, so we're probably going to be doing that later. But for now, we're going to get everything together, hopefully get the gas pedal set up to where we can get it foot controlled and no more hand control. So we'll see. Time to get to work. So we got the brand new hubs on here. They look real nice on this terrible axle. They just slide over. There's a little notch in it. You slide it over the key, and that's how it guides there in place. And then you put the little studs in there. This one is backwards. Don't follow that. They have to face the other way. That way you can slide the wheel over the top of them. But Sammy working on the hubs there, getting them locked down, and we're gonna get the wheels on. Got the chain broke, cut down to size. That's all we had to take off. Working on getting the.
You're gonna watch me stab my finger.
Yeah, stab your finger, please. Do it for the gram. Got the new tires, the hubs, everything locked down. It looks way better with those big tires. Sammy's working on getting the chain right now, and that's the last thing we need before we can get this thing fired up and test it out with the brand new motor. We got the adapter, the new air filter on. We did that. The header was already on there from yesterday when I worked on that. So getting the engine moved a little bit forward. We're gonna size the chain up to where it needs to be, and this thing's ready to run. How's the chain?
It's good.
So with the throttle cable, there's a little hole on this right here where you put it through and then the bead will hold. And then this holds in here, and then you follow it all the way up. And then it goes on to here. If you guys remember on the Hemi bike video, the throttle rod here, we had to put a bunch of bends into it to kind of make it fit where we were going. Well, this one, since it was more direct and it was going shorter, Wesley suggested just cutting it off and running it straight through, and that's what we did. And it worked out just fine. So run the jacket through this here, clamp it down, and then the throttle through there. So whenever you hit the gas, it goes. Whenever you hit it, it'll pull the cable, opens the throttle, goes back. That was that. I did a lot of this build on my own, so I didn't have a lot of time to actually do hands-on videos, but I wanted to show you that because that was a crucial part of setting up the throttle. So unfortunately, we never had time to get the brakes fixed and put the brakes on the cart. So whenever I was driving it, I wasn't really going too fast because I didn't want to lose control or fishtail or hit something and destroy the cart. But I also wanted to get some driving footage so we could get the video done. I did just get word that the racing season is going to start here in about 10 days, either the 20th or the 27th is what they're talking about, which once that starts, I'm not going to be working on this video anymore. But you guys seem to have liked the Hemi bike video. You like build videos, and that video got almost 5,000 views. So I wanted to kind of do another one along those lines, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this one as well. This channel is now up over 100 subscribers, and I want to thank you guys so much. 100 was my first goal for the channel to hit, and everyone that subscribes that doesn't have their name hidden, I always check out your page, and I really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button and enjoying the videos. And that's why I wanted to do this one, just because a lot of you enjoyed the Hemi bike, so maybe do something along the lines again. Anyways, shout out to Wesley and Sammy for helping out with the build, and shout out to Didion's Kart Parts for the parts that we needed to get the cart going. So we'll see you guys here in a couple weeks. If you enjoy this content and you want to stay up a little bit more, shoot a follow on Instagram at MidpackMania. It's really easy to find. Just type in the name of the channel on Instagram, it'll come up, and I'll be posting race day stuff, other pictures that get taken, things like that. So until the next race, we will see you guys then. Thanks for checking out MidpackMania.